Hi, I'm Maddie Ducharme, and we're here with the voice of Selma and the queen of blues, Mae Fikes. This is 1905 Main Street. To restate what Mr. Knight said out there about you favoring your music over the blues when you were younger, did you find yourself with having an affinity for Motown or Stax Records? Where did you feel more at home before you found the blues?
I was mostly with Stax. I wasn't that familiar with Motown. I had only heard during that time, I think it was Marvin Gaye. In particular, I forget the name of the record, but that was playing everywhere. But Stax was mostly the music that came back south for a while. So that's what turned me on. And then when I got into, well, you have to understand when I say that I come from a very religious family. So in order to hear music, the blues, R&B, I had to slip and hear them. And the only thing that saved me was my aunt had a beauty shop. And, well, the family had beauty shops and restaurants since it was that era time. And with the artists coming in, B.B. King and Lil Junior Parker and Bobby Bland, well, by my aunt having this beauty shop downtown, which was very close to the Elks Club, I could go out and listen to them rehearse. So I really didn't have to listen to radio too much. And when I did listen to radio, only thing I was, 16 candles. Because that was the music that was being played back then on the radio. We didn't have much black radio airtime at the time. And when we did, it was WHBB and WTQX, that stations that opened up in the South.
All right. That's great. And so you're become an icon almost for your movement, for your music, in your genre of music. You're the queen of the blues and the voice of Selma. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got those names? I'm sure you're not comfortable referring to yourself as those names, but tell us a little bit about your past and your history with your music and what you've done for your movement.
Well, I really don't know how I got the name. I really don't. But by me traveling so much, and even though I lived in Los Angeles, I would always tell people that when I introduced myself, my name is Mae Fikes. I bring you greetings from Los Angeles, California, by the way of Selma, Alabama. And I was still doing the work of the movement, still doing the work of the gospel, still doing the work of the blues. And by me doing so much of the Freedom Corps, I started working with Smithsonian Institute early in life. And that carried me on another avenue when I could say that education is important. That's when I found out the whole genre of music. And to sing with Chapman, which was a 100-year-old white fella that was a blues singer. And he didn't do my type of blues, but it was their blues. And, I always tell people that could be 10 of us standing saying the same identical thing, but it would still be 10 different stories. Have you ever wondered about that? That's the way life is. And with music, we had the Mississippi blues, we had the Alabama blues, we had the Chicago blues. But how I got the name of the voice of Selma, in the early days, my mother was a gospel singer, so at the age of 4, I would stand next to her with her gospel group. And she would do the verse, when the storms of life are raging, stand by me. And she would do this song, and I would do the chorus. She would do the verse, and I would do the chorus. So from a little girl seeing this, and seeing the feeling of this music being placed in the hearts of people and not truly understanding. So when the movement came about, I had been singing in church in gospel groups from the age of 4 until the movement. I was so glad for the movement because I got a chance to go somewhere else other than church. But I did know the impact of the movement, the violence and the brutality that was going to take place. I just thought it would be a reason that I could do something else other than going to church and doing chores every day. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, by me already being known in the gospel field, when the movement started, people were afraid. So the churches were too afraid to open the doors to what they would call the freedom fighters. And the first church that opened its door was Tabernacle Baptist Church. So in churches, you know, you always have beginning devotion, the music, the praying. So most of the freedom songs were taken from the gospel songs. So after the praying and the scriptures, we would sing. And I became one of the leaders in songs of Selma. And I think in history books where they have me as the little bitty girl that at the age then, I think I was 15, when the church was surrounded by police and deputized white men, that we couldn't come out. And the thing that calmed the spirit was the songs. So in the history book, they have Bettie Mae as being one of the strong leaders with the strong voice. Not my picture, but my name and my story. So I became the voice of every time there was a movement of anything going on in mass meetings. They would call me up to sing. Oh, this little light of mine, hey, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, my Lord. This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So we would call our oppressors. The biggest one was Jim Clark of Selma. And I said, go tell Jim Clark, I'm gonna let it shine. So it went on that way through the years, and through those years, I became the voice.
The voice of Selma.
Of Selma.
Wow.
Let the good time roll. I'm gonna stay right here until I soothe your soul. Look at here. Might be 1 o'clock and it might be 3. Time don't mean that much to me. Let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. Your soul. Hey, Mr. Landlord, lock all the doors. If the police come, tell them the joint is closed. Let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. You only live once. Come on and let the good time roll. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of you don't know too much about the blues. Let me tell you just a little bit where I come from. 15 and 16 years old. Blues are very popular back south. What I did not understand then was that the American culture for the blacks, musically, was gospel, spirituals, and blues. As a teenager, I did not like the blues. Why? Because I didn't understand the blues. And in those days, you know, they played offbeat. The timing was bad. And I used to wonder, how can they sound so badly and sing so miserably? Didn't understand the soul of it like much of you today do not understand. Blues were the heritage in our culture. Every generation that comes to this country bring their heritage and their culture with them and pass it on from generation to generation. I'm passing mine on today to try to keep the gospel and those spirituals and blues alive. Pretty much like me back then, the time is going to come today for you, whatever you choose as seniors, whatever your passion may be or may bring, you're going to have to carry it on from generation to generation. So you have to cultivate that passion. So when I heard those blues, those old blues that I didn't like, when I say I was like you, I wanted something with, I didn't understand when they were saying, the thrill is gone. Well, what about the thrill? I did not understand that. I didn't understand sitting in clubs and seeing old men cry. What is it about the blues? It's something that you have to nourish and keep. If you're a jazz lover, you have to understand that every basic music came from our music. And always remember what someone told me once. They tried to put me down when I started singing blues. And when I started singing in studios, they said, well, if she can sing blues, that means she can sing anything. I tried to remain versatile, to learn all about this thing you call music. The jazz, the blues, the rock, country and western, folk. I try to do a little of it all. And I want to pass it on to you. Don't do it from here. It has to come from here. So when you start singing it, it's not so much about singing it. You got to give it where your audience can feel it. And if you're not giving that, you're not doing your job. Stay true to the course. That's the main purpose of music. Let's go back to the music. How blue can you get? and nobody seemed to care. Nobody loves me, and nobody seems to care. Now this is what you call the blues. I've been downhearted, baby, ever since the first day that we met. Been downhearted, baby. Day that we met. Love ain't nothing but the blues. Tell me how blue can you get? Yeah. Nobody loves me but my mama. And sometimes I think she's lying too. No, 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 no. Nobody loves me but my mama. And sometimes I think she's lying too. I wanna know how blue can you get? Yeah, and my sister somewhere way down there in New Orleans. Yeah. My brother's over there in Iraq, baby. And my sister somewhere way down there in New Orleans. Yeah. Love ain't nothing but the blues. Tell me how blue can you get? Yeah, yeah. I've been downhearted, baby, ever since the first day that we met. Yeah. I've been about a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we call the blues that you won't quite understand. You know, we used to, growing up, you see the fellas sitting around with a beer, cigarette hanging out of their mouths, and I didn't understand the meaning. So I always tell everybody, my mother was a gospel singer. She gave me the gospel. My daddy was a gigolo, and he gave me the blues. Every weekend I would hear songs like, when you see me coming, go and get my rocking chair. I didn't understand that. Oh my God. I wanted to hear some, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. I didn't understand until I got older. But at 15, 16, and 17 years old, I was making adult decisions about civil rights, fighting for the right to vote that the Constitution had already given each person of America the right to have and to hold. And we're still pretty much fighting for that today. And the reason I travel talking to so many youth today, because the time is going to come that you will have to tell your story. What will your story be? That's why I do what I do today. I want you to understand the blues. But in order to understand the blues, you have to have a spiritual connection to something, to someone. When I say my mother gave me the gospel, I learned how to sing without music. And for a long time, I had to practice to learn how to sing with music. I don't read a note, and I worked in studio for years. But from the heart of music, and to understand when my mother used to stand in the old churches and do songs like, I've been in the storm so long. I've been in the storm so long. I've been in the storm so long, but I'm trying to make heaven my home. That was the gospel without music. Thank you. That's why singing the blues became easy, because I had to feel it and to understand. So when I speak to the children today, I say, I am Maya Angelou. I am Harriet Tubman. When you hear the stories, you don't just hear the stories. Place yourself in the story. I place myself with Harriet Tubman, wandering through the woods on cold winter nights, freeing slaves. From the 1800s to the 1960s, Angela Davis, people that fought for freedom, that lost their lives. And when they said, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, oh Lord, Kumbaya. So you have to put yourself in every situation, not just listen to it, but put yourself there. And I bet you, if you place yourself there, when it comes time for you to tell your story, when it comes time for you to sing your song, when it comes time for you to play your guitar, your piano, your bass, or even sitting behind the camera, you could do it with a passion. And if you don't have the passion for it, please don't. But you're gonna make somebody else very miserable. Don't do that to us. Okay? I love doing what I do. I am a big joke. They call me the gospel comedian. They say I'm the only one that can sing the blues in clubs and have people crying. Summertime, I like to tell the stories. Let's do some more music. And this is what you call a honky-tonk and the shuffle. You know, they didn't do the twist back then. But they said the party's jumping, everybody's having a good time. You know what's going through my mind. Do you mind if I get comfortable and kick off my shoes? Why you fixing me a drink? Play me some of them down home blues. You see, I don't get out much on the town, and I'm not the kind of girl that likes running around all week long. But tonight I'm gonna do as I choose. Yeah. I'm gonna fix my hair and play me some of them down home blues. Down home blues, down home blues. All they wanted to hear was those down home blues all night long. Every other record or two. So just fix me a drink and play me some of them down home blues. Because of these hours I'll be getting in tonight, but I don't care. Tonight I'm gonna do as I choose. So just take off those fast records and play me some of them down home blues. Down home blues, down home blues. All they wanted to hear was those down home blues all night long. Every other record or two. So just fix me a drink and play me some of them down home blues. down on blues. All they wanted to hear was those down on blues all night long. Every other record or two. So just take off those fast records and play me some of them down home blues. Once again, how about it for my band? And my nephew back there on drums. Everybody find it hard to believe that that's my nephew. I don't know why. I really can't see why they have a problem with that. I'm the one that's white, he's black. I really can't understand. But I come to say that I've traveled with some of the best, and I thank God for that. Being placed at the age of 15 with artists that I had only heard of, and to be able to sit and listen and learn. And then in traveling, where hear these name artists that records selling all over the world, but they sitting in the dressing room eating beans out of a can. I didn't understand that. So it's important to get the education. We fought for the right of a good education. And we were told 50 years ago that once you get a good education, that's the only thing that they can't take away from you. But education by itself is no good. You got to have the heart. I don't care how much you have up here. If this is hollow, you're walking around like a blind man. And you be singing, then you really will understand what the blues is all about. You'd be walking the back street crying. So to the seniors, I come today especially, not only because my nephew, this is his last year, but from the first time I came and heard the musicians, to see the stage designers, to see the young girls and boys behind cameras, to see the young men and women recording, I knew then, I'm seeing what I saw 50 years ago. And I want you to know you inspired me. That I would come over and over and over again. I have to thank Mr. Knight for this. Thank you. You have inspired me in such a way that I would cherish this for a lifetime. We give, as far as the media is concerned today, we talk so much about the bad that we don't look around to see all the good that's taking place. And when I came the first time and heard these musicians, I went back and told my musician, I said, see, you guys got all these big egos because who you play with. I just left for school over the weekend. I could go up in there and pick me a band. I could pick a band for the R&B. I can pick a band for jazz. I can pick a band for classic. And you're all sitting right here. Your ego is larger than your heads because they play with Gladys, Patti LaBelle, all the name brand artists. But when that day is gone, what will you have left? These are the things that I want to inspire to you today, what I mean by the passion. Especially the seniors. You get ready to take wings and fly into this adult world. And it's not everything it's cracked up to be. Our American dream still have me fighting. That's why I say the time is coming that you're going to have to tell the stories. Look around you today. And the ones that have a passion for music, you will go for a long, long, everlasting time. Music is eternal. Music can calm the wildest beast. And in the midst of your storms, when you got music, it calms the fears. In the midst of troubles, trials, and tribulations, when you could just pick up your axe and just play softly. Or if you don't do anything else but moan and groan, then you'll understand what the blues is all about. You won't know what the blues are until you experience it. Y'all haven't experienced anything big yet. Get ready, it's coming. I tell you. Then you'll understand what Miss Bettie is trying to tell you. When I say I was pretty much like you, I wanted music with a beat. I didn't want, I did not want that. Now look at me. Now here's 3 o'clock in the morning, baby. I don't even have a man. And music is why I don't have a man, so you have to be careful with your choices. Come, you'll have to choose. I choose my music. And ladies, if you're a musician, you're really going to have to be careful because, see, the men get so controlling that they can't understand that the music is your passion. And they want to be your full passion. Not so. You don't stroke me like my music stroked me. Music strokes you. Don't it stroke you? All night long. All night long. It's like arthritis. All night long. I had a band when my nephew was 5 years old. I had one of the baddest bands in Lake County. James Brown, lead guitarist, was my bass player. And when I tell you, we used to turn the world upside down on weekends. He was 5, he would come in, he would be doing the James, he's been doing the James Brown ever since he was 5, girls and boys. Dancing, acting, everything he's pretty much doing now. And I'm so glad to have been a part of that. This is what I mean when it's a passion. I know he drove his mama crazy. As soon as he would walk in my house, he would go to the congas and start playing. This is what a passion is all about. So when I come from the church to the clubs, and now I've gone from clubs to cathedrals, and I've sung practically everywhere. Don't want to be known because it's not important. And I tell everybody, I don't come to perform. I don't come to entertain you. I come to give you the gift that has been given to me. That's what music is. It's not so much about the blues, because the blues is whatever situation that's taking place at that time. You only have the moment. We don't live from day to day. You only have the moment right now. And what can that moment be? We sit up, and I used to hear my grandmother, when the 16th Street Church was bombed in Birmingham, I knew my grandmother was going to tell me I had to leave the movement. But she didn't say anything. So children today, y'all are standing on the shoulders of many. Don't mean anything about your color. Really have nothing to do with your nationality. Because every nationality has its own struggle. And you must understand that. That's what I mean when I say the day is going to come. You're going to have to tell the story. But that bombing that particular Sunday when 4 young girls was killed in Birmingham out of hatred, I knew that my grandmother was going to tell me I could not participate anymore. And I kept passing her bedroom and nothing was said. And finally I heard this. I didn't understand that. Finally, when I was older, they said, when you moaning, the devil don't know what you're talking about.
That's an amazing story. That's so awesome. And in a way, you talked about how like your music, the blues has come from gospel before it, and gospel had come from folk songs before it. In a way, how do you think that music has played such an important role and continue to play such an important role in the struggle for equal rights and any sort of fight for freedom in our nation's history?
Without music, well, if you watch today compared to 50 years ago, the unity that we had. And when I look at 50 years ago and I look at today, most of the day is without music. But we had music then. We had music to calm the storms when the jails were full to the brim with children where there wasn't even room enough to sleep. We had to sit pretty much just like you're sitting now. The mattress had been taken out for the little iron carts, and everybody was sitting on the floor where the jailhouse was full, 9 by 12 to the most. And the only thing that would calm the common fear, you could hear some of the kids crying. And the music would just start, hush, somebody's calling my name. Or up-tempo, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up the freedom land. It was the music back then that calmed the fear of the children, because Selma was a children movement. Selma had already been established before Martin Luther King came. And when Martin Luther King came in, it was really to bring the press in, to bring attention to what was happening, that had been happening there for years on years, the Ku Klux Klans, and the difference between the black, the way the black was treated compared to the way white was treated. So, but at least back then, people understood what they were going through. But today, we're in a spiritual warfare. You don't know what you're facing because you're fighting things you can't see. You're fighting institutions. Half of the time, you don't even know what's going on until it hits you. So it's a difference today than back then. Back then, marching, protesting was good. But marching and protesting is not going to be the thing to save us today. The thing that still saves us is the music. And we have so little of that now, that true music. We got a lot of good music, but not a lot of true music. So you got to have music that whenever you're in a storm, you can go through to a certain song, and it would take your mind off of whatever you're going through. And if you know, in a bad relationship, there's a certain song that you can go to that will calm the heartbeat. And you know, when they say that when the heart is broken, you can go to, I've been in a storm. You don't know what storm is until you done been through it. So these are the things that we try to prepare people, not to teach you. Because every struggle is a different struggle. And I just come to try to prepare you. You know, I always tell the children, when they think I'm funny, I say, come back 5 and 10 years from the day and tell me who was telling the joke. We don't understand. But I try to prepare everyone that I touch. Anywhere I go, I ask to be a blessing. Open up your heart and receive me. Give me 10 minutes of your time and your energy. And I bet you, 10 years from today, it would be something that has been said that you can go back and reach back on. And the ones that you might see sitting doing this, and that's the one sometimes is getting the most because their human tape recorder is recording. So we have to remember that the music of today is still good music. But then I always ask the children, what will your music be like 20 years from today? Y'all still living off our music. What will your music be 20 and 30 years from today? How many people know Gladys Knight? How many know Marvin Gaye? See? Now, why you don't know too many know Gladys Knight? Oh, she's, here comes mailman walking up the street. Well, he looks like he had a letter today for me. Wait a minute, let me look inside. No, it couldn't be from my guy because he brought me a letter full of tears. But you know Marvin Gaye. But all of these people is what? A part of the reason and the history of music that we have today. How many seen the Funk Brothers, Soul Brothers, Motown? Did you see that?
Like a film or?
We played the film before session musicians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and that lets you know how important musicians are. Everybody know Gladys. Everybody know Marvin Gaye. But do you know the people behind them? Like these men, the musicians. Gladys and all them can go on for years, but what happened to the musicians? That's why I tell you, you got to do it from your heart. What happens when your time, as you feel, is gone? What song do you have in your heart to sing then? That's why I said music is so important. Keep it.
I think that we need you in Ferguson right now, in Maryland, and New York, and all those places, because they're missing that. They're missing the music, right?
They are. Well, you look at today, times are so different today than they were back then. Well, one of the reasons you look, well, babies are having babies, and if a young lady don't have enough intelligence to pass on, then this baby that she's giving birth to is going to be less fortunate than she. So these are some of the crises of the world today. That's why I said we're fighting things that we can't see. We have people now that's coming that has no conscience. So 50 years ago, they turned the dogs on us and fire hoses. Now we have turned the dogs on each other. We're not loving each other. We're not caring for each other anymore the way we used to. In my time, you belonged to everybody in the neighborhood. If your mama wasn't home, your daddy wasn't, it was just like your mama was home. And Lord, don't let your grandmama live in the country, because if you got in trouble, you was going to have to get in trouble when your mama came home, and then when your daddy came home. Then on the weekend when grandmama came in, then you got to go through and hear that sermon all over again. We don't have that anymore. And it's not so much about the spanking. I didn't like to be scolded. I didn't like to be fussed at. Oh, Jesus, do I have to hear it again? I told you I wasn't going to do it again. But we don't have those things anymore. Carson does, and my niece does. But, and I'm sure a lot of you all do it, because look at you. And see, when you're not with your parents, you're up in here with Mr. Knight. So that can be pretty rough too, I'm sure. You're going to get it before you leave here. That's the way we used to get it. You're going to get it before you leave here.
I think more with Mr. Simmons than Mr. Knight. You saw him earlier. I'm sure sure he does it because he loves us the same way your mom loved you. And, earlier when you were singing about in that second song you did, when you said, nobody loves me but my mama, I can guarantee, I'm sure everyone is sitting here, because I was thinking it too, was thinking like, no, we love you, Bettie, we love you. But anyway, you've played these gigs in huge venues, Carnegie Hall and the Library of Congress, the Newport Jazz Festival, all sorts of things. And I guess for some people here, those would be like the dream venues. Yeah. And how does that compare to playing in like a more smaller and intimate setting, kind of like our TV studio here at MMET?
Well, it's not much difference, really, because I always say people are people. The only difference I find is the arena. I'll never forget when I was at Carnegie Hall, and as a kid, I used to watch television, and I would see these movies where the performers would be performing at Carnegie Hall. And as soon as they walk out of the door, the back door, the people be standing flickering with the the cameras, and all you can see is just the flashlights flickering everywhere. Well, I was there being introduced by Ozzie Davis and Ruby, the actor and actress. And it was the 50th anniversary for the first time I went for Folkway recording. And that was where Pete Seeger and Guy Carawan, whom I call the people that, the reason the world know me today, behind Pete Seeger and Guy Carawan. But at Carnegie Hall, when we're getting ready to walk on stage, everything is black. You can't see anything, and you're only led by a spotlight. And by the spotlight, you're led into your mic. And then when you get to your mic, all you can hear is click, 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 click. Lights coming on like this. And then you look out over the audience upstairs and downstairs, and you said, it's just what I've been dreaming about for years. Well, the dream was much better, because now you got to do the work.
So it's a letdown from the dream.
It's a letdown from the dream. But it was a beautiful venue, but it still ended up like the dream, because you're backstage and hear all these artists that you've only read about or seen on television. Some you have worked with, but just being surrounded by a gift of people that was genuine. And I found that unbelievable. Then Misty Rain, just the way I always wanted it. Misty Rain, when the back door opened and we walked out, all the films and cameras, and I was saying, just like the movie.
Yeah.
So then I get home and wanted a picture. Just like everywhere I go, I don't have any pictures. Everybody take the pictures, but I always end up not getting the pictures. Then the ones I did get and do have, people would come and sit and go through my photo album, and when I look, all my pictures are gone.
They'll take them.
So my mother died when I was 10, and I was the only child. One of the reasons that music plays such a strong part of my life is that she gave me that. And everything I do today, when I look up, I want to make my mother proud. My great-grandmother raised me, and she died in 1984, and she was 117 years old. And I lived off her history. So with those two women, my mother and my great-grandmother, everything that I have done, Carnegie Hall, Newport Folk and Jazz Festival, every venue that I've done, I credit it to them and their teaching. And I always say, I'm still living off your teaching. I thought I was so old-fashioned, as I was taught, you don't do this, and a woman's supposed to be seen and not heard. Oh boy, I got so tired of talking about that. Yes. So then all those things that I thought of how a woman was supposed to be. And finally one day they told me, Daddy, you just talk too much. And I said, well, that's because they told me to be quiet. So now I got something to say. And then James Brown said, don't be the one that talk loud and say nothing. If you're going to talk, be able to know that you're saying something. So those are the things that I try to give today. When I'm talking, I want to be saying something.
There's a difference there between talking and actually saying something. Definitely. I think I had to learn that too from talking, because I talk a lot too. So I completely understand. But you talked about your mother and your great-grandmother and your grandmother having a really just big role in your life and in your music. What other sort of artists played a role in your life or in your music and kind of influenced your style and all of your music?
Oh, well, like I said, I come from a very religious family. And to the part that 50 years ago in Selma, Alabama, well, when my mother died, we were living in Detroit. And from Detroit, I came to California with her brother. Then the family began to fight over me. And that sent me back to Alabama with my father's family. But in that, by all of my family being preachers, deacons, and good gospel singers, when these big-time celebrities would come to Selma, especially gospel singers, there were no hotels, so they stayed in the homes of people. So I was able to have the good and bad of both worlds. I knew the Mahalia Jackson. I heard the Mahalia Jackson stories. She was well known, but she couldn't come to Selma and get a hotel. And every year there would be, you know, at big time anniversary for gospel groups and stuff. So here all these name brand gospel singers that would come, Mahalia Jackson, the Claire Ward singers, the angelic gospel singers. I got to know all these people personally and to hear their stories. So in that, and with the teaching that I had from the elders and parents that was raising me, and then being able to sit around and hear Mahalia Jackson saying that even though she was driving a Cadillac and she had money in her pocket, she stopped to gas up, but she couldn't use the public bathroom. I didn't understand that then. So when I heard all these stories, and then I would hear on the weekends when Bobby Bland, a little Junior Park, and all of them come to town, how I would get up and sit on the fire escape where they be in rehearsing, getting ready for a Saturday night gig, and they're telling the stories of what they had to go through coming to Selma and Al Green. And that, as a child, penetrated something in my mind, both cultures of putting it together. So now I'm just traveling and trying to pull all the cultures together as one. You know, we all have the same story. We might tell it a little different. We all have the same song. We might sing it a little different, but we all are just one. And this is the thing that I'm trying to get most people to understand today, is that if it had not been for my mother, who, when she died at 10, it wasn't too much that I didn't know how to do. It was like she was preparing me for her death. And then with my grandmother, with her teaching, yeah, don't be out there singing those reels. That's what she called the blues. Don't be out there singing those reels. So I just came into a true understanding what reels were. And that was June the 19th, and I'm in Bloomington, Minnesota. And I was supposed to have been at my class reunion, but they changed the date, and I was already contracted to be in Minnesota. And I'm looking at this billboard that they have of me. And I stood on stage once. I heard this long bio that they had read introducing me. And when I walked to the mic, the first picture came to my mind was my grandmother. Gal, don't be out there singing those reels. And I truly understood then what she meant by reels. The blues. Well, aren't the blues real? They are very real. So I just walked and patted myself on the back, and I looked up and I said, thank you, Grandmama. So that's what I mean. There are things will happen and transpire in your life that today you might think that you're not paying any of it any attention. 20 or 30 years later, to come back to you and hit you like a hammer. And you'll be able to look up and say, thank you, I got it.
So for you, in your life, a lot of your, just all the stuff that you worked on, all of the passion that you had and put into the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the marching at Selma with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., how did those cross over with your music?
Well, it took me away from my music for a long time. It put me in a place because I really didn't think that Selma had the kind of struggle that they were saying we had. I thought things were the way it was supposed to be. As a matter of fact, my godfather was one of the richest white men in Selma, and the first place that they protested in Selma was a place that he used to carry me to all the time. And I didn't understand then that the only reason I was able to go in because he carried me. But the Thirsty Boy was the place that they sold the foot-long hot dogs. And he would carry me in and sit me on the high stool and order my hot dog and tea, but I couldn't have sugar. Sugar's no good for you. So I thought that's the way things were. So when they were talking, when Bevel was the first fellow that came to Selma and asked the question whether or not we knew our parents had the right to vote. Well, I thought they're adults. We were being taught how to fill out income tax forms in school. We were being taught how to fill out ballots. So I thought everybody, well, all the adults had the right to vote. I didn't have a clue of any of the things that was going on around us at the time, up until the movement broke out. Mm-hmm. So that changed my life completely. And with the music, it kind of set me back to the point where I was more or less singing just freedom songs. Mm-hmm. And gospel, because I stayed in church most of the time after that. And I was already in church enough. And at first, you know, the mass meetings were what I would call strategy. You would go to mass meetings to find out what was going on, and the speakers. And there was some time that I was supposed to be at mass meeting. I would be at a club listening to the music where I wasn't old enough to be in, but I would slip in, and I would get a chance to hear the bands. So that kept me in tune of what was going on, other than playing in church with just a piano. Mm-hmm. So with that, the gospel, the freedom songs, and now the music. And I tell you, the music turned me on, and I wanted to be a part of that music. And now I can understand what my grandmother meant. You know, she would say, that night air is poison, you know. So she meant for me not to get caught up, because you've heard the song, the night life ain't no good life, but it's my life. Have you ever heard that? Well, I guess that's what Grandma meant. That night life sure ain't no good life, but it's my life. You can enjoy, you can find enjoyment in it, but that's what she meant. That night air is poison.
So for you, you've made music and made history for basically all of your life. For the young musicians and future movers and shakers of the world in this room today, if you could give them just one piece of advice, what would you say to them? Or what would you say to yourself at this age, if you could go back and say?
Well, I wish someone had told me earlier to be, and I always tell all of you, above all things, and the cliche has been said over and over again, to be very true to yourself. You can fool a lot of other people, but you can't fool yourself. You know what your call is. And see, there's a difference between a talent and a gift. A talent, you work on it well. A gift, you refine it well. So that's what I mean. Find your passion. Find your passion. Because, it's, you know, even if you're singing a song, that song is a story. Even if you're playing your guitar, that guitar becomes a story when you're playing it. When you're on drums, if you're feeling it, that becomes a story. With passion. So when you're true to yourself, even when people put you down, you still believe in yourself. And music will make you walk by faith and not by sight. So mostly when I always tell most of the younger generation, it's 3 things that you must keep embedded in your heart. In church they call it Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. We call it mind, body, and spirit. Your spirit must be alive to do anything. Have you seen a dead spirit? You just see somebody. That's a dead spirit. And sometimes I can be on stage and I look out in the audience and I walk around and whisper in someone's ear and say, please go home. Please go. Because you're working on my spirit. Your spirit calls and your spirit talk loud. You can meet a personality. But the first thing that I meet in a person, like I met all these musicians, I met their spirit. I met Mr. Knight's spirit. I didn't meet Mr. Knight. That's when I said, I am. I am the I am. And once you meet people's spirit, you become the I am. Because when they're going through something, you can feel it too. And you can only do that with having a good spirit. So you must nourish your spirit. And I tell you, if you nourish that spirit right, ain't nothing in life can hold you down. Nothing can hold you back. Don't care how they tell you you can't make it. Oh, yes, I can. I've been told many a times I walk in and by me not reading music, they tell me, I ask them, just give me the melody. And here's a professional, you know, okay. And I walk out and they say, I can hear them say, oh, she won't be able to do this. Then I come back in preparation for the performance. And I have to sit there until my name is called. And I think what's going through my mind before I'm called up. And I got to go up and do what they said that I wouldn't be able to do. And I shoot the star every time. Boom! And when I finish, the only thing, do I say, thank you, Betty? Thank you. Mind, body, and spirit. Always keep your spirit intact. Your spirit will carry you a long, long way. The mind will carry you a distance and drop you. But when the 3 are connected with each other, there's no limit to where you can go. If anyone had told me that I would be doing the things I have already done, I would not have believed it. And what I said, if he did it for me, he'd do it for all of you. Whatever your passion, whatever your dream might be. My dream that I dream is nothing like the life that I have lived. It was much larger than my dream. So invest in your dreams wholeheartedly, because you can't do nothing. That you heard the song, ain't no half-stepping. Can't do it half-stepping. You got to go all the way. And even if you mess up, ooh, I messed up that time, I got to do it all over again. Just brush yourself off and get back and try. Because your downfalls are for your uprising. Most people look at the downfalls as failure. No, that's your growth. The age you are now, you're in the stage what we call, you know, you're in the learning process. You're learning. You're learning. Some think you know everything. Not, you don't quite know it all yet. Intelligence. You think you're intelligent. That's good. But when you get 30 and 40, you're in understanding, and understanding is pretty good. You think you know it all. Then when you get 40 and 50, if you have arrived, if you have achieved your dreams, and you're thinking that it's still something missing, well, it is. Because you think you become knowledgeable. You done went through intelligent, you done went through intelligent understanding. Now you're into the school of knowledge. And you still feel I haven't arrived yet. Then you get 50 and 60. But sweethearts, let me tell you, when you get 50, you're just beginning to live. You're just beginning to be in your 30s. Because you're in wisdom. And wisdom would teach you that intelligence wasn't anything. Understanding wasn't nothing. I didn't learn it at all. And even as a knowledge, but I had graduated from college. I acquired a great job. I'm living the American dream that has turned into an American nightmare. Then you begin to live. Just hope you don't die before then. Just live. That's what it's all about. And not only for tomorrow or next week. Prepare yourself for the next 20 years, but just live moment by moment. Don't be looking back at yesterday. Don't get too crazy about tomorrow. Just live in the moment that you have right now. Sing the blues, sing the gospel, do the jazz. Yesterday, all my troubles will seem so far away. Now I need a place to hide away, 'cause I believe in yesterday. Yesterday. It's just yesterday.
I don't know. I don't know if you know how much we love the Beatles here. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for gracing us with your rendition of Yesterday, because we do love the Beatles here quite a bit.
I do too.
How could you not, right? Well, at this point, I guess we'll just take a few questions from our audience. Does anybody have anything burning within them that they need to ask Mrs. Bettie Mae right now?
Yes, how can you determine the difference between your spirit and your talent?
All right, so he asked how...
Can you determine your spirit and your talent? Well, there's a big difference. A talent is something that you have to learn and work on. The spirit is a gift that comes from above. But the thing is, most people don't know how to challenge their spirit or even know anything about the spirit. But there's a great big difference between a talent and the spirit.
Your spirit is going to guide you.
That's it. The talent doesn't guide you.
Your spirit will.
Your spirit would always guide you. That's why I said to be in tune to your spirit. If you're not in tune to your spirit, how can you follow your guides? That's why it says the difference between a talent and a gift. A gift comes from the spirit. Thank you for the question.
I wish I could have some time, but I need to talk.
Okay. Oh.
It was nice hearing you, and God bless you, darling, and I love you immensely.
Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Do we have any?
I don't talk about this often. I don't care if it's not on video. But after the very first Retrofest, this was the first show that we all did. It was Simmons and me playing with these kids. We weren't talented. I mean, the musicians were talented. The kids were not there. But the spirit came into this program, and I guarantee it has never left. And
I can
can't
see
explain
that.
it, but
I
it's
can
here.
see that. That's why I keep coming back. I tell you. And I talk about you everywhere I go. Unbelievable. I bought my daughter the last show. And I mean, when I get home, I'm so hyped up, it's like I have did the gig myself. So I have to walk myself back down, and I'm talking, you got to go and hear them. Nobody's going to believe this. And I mean, going from state to state, I'm talking about Mr. Knight and these students. And so my daughter came, and she says, now I understand. And see, this is what I was telling y'all. It'll come when you tell the story. So now she's talking more than I am. Boy, I tell you.
So we've really, really enjoyed having you here today, listening to you sing and listening to your story, and really just inspiring all of us to write our own stories and to make the most of our talents and our gifts and to have like the passion within us. So thank you so much for coming. Thanks to the band. We had Cole, Kira, Carson, Cole, Mr. Knight, and Anthony playing with us today. They were great. And thank you to all of the studio audience today. You guys were awesome. And thanks so much. See you guys next time.
Bettie.